So let's start by saying we've entered into a new game. We're watching Vladimir, who is named Foxpaw. He's playing a new ranked game. We're trying to see if he can actually rank up. I believe he's trying to get into Platinum, or maybe even to Diamond actively. I know, massive difference as there is between the two these days. Who would have thought that that would be the case? However, the interesting thing to look at is that these compositions are relatively rote. They're the things that you would come to expect, so to speak, from these different compositions. Basically, you have everyone's favorite champions in the form of Ashe, Rek'Sai, Nocturne, Lulu, and Vladimir. Meanwhile, going up against a Brand, Twisted Fate, Sandstorm Echo, and Kingdoms Vi and Riven. Looking at these compositions off the top of my head, I wasn't there for Champion Select. I wasn't there for the banning phase. I can only assume double Yasuo ban as is normal and as is the norm amongst all different cultures and countries. But looking at it, I can see that Foxpaw decided to go for an interesting composition. Lulu and Ashe are not exactly the most meta of picks these days. However, they are pretty good. You have a lot of CC coming in from Ashe. You have Lulu, able to give a lot of stuff and a lot of, you could say, utility, both with Glitter Lance and the fact that every other skill does two things, with the exception of Gigantify, which is just one of the most clutch ultimates in the game, beyond Zillions, obviously, but there's precious few competition in that particular sphere. Nocturne as well, great jungler, except not going as jungler this time around. He's going for mid as a form of cheese against Echo, who, we'll get to that in a little bit. Rek'Sai, very much meta in 9.4, and Vladimir, consistently one of the champions that Riot has openly stated that they want to get rid of, but also going to be going into the top lane with Phase Rush, which is also meta in 9.3 and 4 at this point. He's going to be going up against Riven, one of those champions that everyone just loves to hate, mostly because of the fact that it is just one of those horrific situations to deal with, as any mage would tell you, and as any real laner has to tell you. Everyone has a horror story about Riven and Yasuo, in addition to that of Vayne, where, oh, Vayne's down about 0 and 12, I suddenly can't deal with it because she's just completely on me like white on rice. Meanwhile, looking at that team composition, I saved it for last because I didn't want to get into it, but it looks like we're actually seeing an 80 carry Twisted Fate. Now, whether or not that's actually just an AP carry in the bottom lane, which is very, very common these days. Cassiopeia recently did it, Sneaky rather, did it in the C9 versus the TSM game this past weekend, and was actively quite successful on it, even though the game was heavily shifted in the favor of poke, and there was this entire situation where they needed to kind of off-tank a lot of damage coming in from Zoe. We won't get into that, though. Vi, enemy jungler, going up against Rek'Sai. The amount of damage that Vi is able to put out early game is rather scary, and considering the fact is that Rek'Sai is taking Conqueror, which is very, very good, we have two relatively high damage early junglers going to be going at it in this early game. The support brand is something that we're all very familiar with, and the support brand taking Dark Harvest, which, yes, we know is exceedingly greedy. It's just excessive at that point. But it is arguably your secondary win condition if you're unable to win early, which is something that this team composition kind of wants to do. Early to mid game champions, like, well, kind of like, they're not exactly early to mid-game champions, but the way the composition has been formed, it's so bad that you want to win an early to mid-game, because the scaling power that is kind of Nocturne into Ashe in the mid to late game is something that you really do have to respect. The amount of just sheer damage that they're able to put out. It's going to be a red star, by the way, for Vi. But you kind of operate on a timer right now. And with Brand Dark Harvest, you do have your own kind of man-made timer, if you'll allow me. A little bit of skirmishing going on in the mid lane. No real fear. It's just a level 1 start from everyone's favorite Echo. Level 1 start. Level 1 start. My goodness. That's something you managed to screw up. Level 2 coming in big from Nocturne and from Echo. Basically coming in with the E and Q. Fear going down onto Echo. Echo going to be feared outside. There's the one solitary basic attack. No Ignite follow-up and no other attempt at going under Echo, but they are underneath the tower. It makes a considerable amount of sense. It does look like it is going to be an AP Twisted Fate. I always have a soft hankering for AD carry Twisted Fate. It's so much fun to just shoot out cards like your Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! But that doesn't mean it's good. So good on them for figuring out. Ooh, looks like a gank coming in from bottom lane, and Rek'Sai trying to get something out with the burrow on burrow. Going to be going up onto one. No, just only one. There's Brand, has to flash out with the Ignite, and we'll go first blood over to Lulu. Well done. Ooh, trying to go for the doubles, but can't quite get the damage off on Twisted Fate. Meanwhile, Vi coming in, looking to get something. No spell shield available for Nocturne. Nocturne just going to be falling underneath from a stun and a shield from Echo, allowing him to live. Second blood going over to red team. Meanwhile, top lane, every single mage versus Riven has always dealt with this situation. I think I can kill you, Riven. Unfortunately, you're Riven, and you have a relatively overloaded kit. Meanwhile, Rek'Sai trying to do something, trying to snipe away a kill from Echo in the middle lane. Doesn't quite work out for him, however, considering the fact is that Vi was in the area and managed to create a little bit of an armistice. 3 minutes in, just 5k gold leads. Not exceptional CSing at the moment, but we're still only 4 minutes in. You don't get this level of excitement in pro play. You just get optimal gold strategies and actual strategy, and not just empty. I mean, I don't know, guys. Don't you want to see some inting? Vladimir getting stunned. There's gonna be no follow-up. Rek'Sai's a bit too far away. He may have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. Plat may be just a little bit further away from him, but the amount of damage from minions is not to be underestimated. Something that Riven did. Not gonna be there for very long. He's not gonna get, no, he is gonna get the regeneration from his Q passive. Foxball just trying to play this a bit more carefully than you might imagine. CS totals kind of equaling out in bottom lane. Meanwhile, 1 assist going over to Ashe means that she'll be just a little bit more ahead than Mr. Twisted Fate. But really, does that surprise you that AP Twisted Fate is falling behind against an Ashe? Like, honestly, really. Echo and Nocturne, though, kind of relatively even. I mean, it is Nocturne, so you gotta grade with a curve. Ooh, a bit of damage going over there. That's the 3-hit passive coming in clear for Echo, and that allows Echo to trade as well as you do. But really, does that surprise you that Nocturne's falling behind an Echo in the mid lane? There's a lot of burst, and once level 6 hits, it is going to be probably a bloodbath. But beyond that, though, ooh, my goodness, Ashe kind of pushing forward. Flash coming in from Lulu, trying to get the Glitter Lance shield combo. Not quite working, and there's a bit of banter and a BM coming in from Ashe with the thumbs up. Top tier results coming in from the blue side. Meanwhile, there's the stun going in onto Vladimir. No level 6 on Riven, so she won't have any follow-up. There's level 5. All the mana in the world's not going to save you from death, Echo. The stun gets missed. However, Nocturne's still in the field. They're just kind of trying to disengage from each other. Meanwhile, Rek'Sai looking for the gank, but unfortunately had to deal with the ward. Meanwhile, Vi is in the area. She could be trying to deal with this. They are playing hooky right now. There's no mana on Nocturne, but Nocturne's passive does allow him and afford him some level of creativity. Ooh, level 6 on Riven. This could be very, very bad for Vladimir. Vladimir still has the pull. She's not going to go into it. She's just trying to bait out skills. But that does allow time for Vladimir to get 6 and possibly Hemoplague his way to a really, really, really juicy counter engage. There she goes. Not going to pop the ultimate. Rek'Sai and Ashe and Lulu in the blue side, red side jungle. On red side jungle in that where blue buff actively is. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate just kind of struggling to stay afloat. He's at the same level of CS, but the thing is, he has to burn mana to do that. And yes, he can get that back with blue cards, but that only goes so far. Ooh, there's the stun. Lots of damage. Just keeps on going on this Vladimir. No ulti pop by Riven, though. There's going to be the knock-up in bottom lane. Brand planting the entire wrong way, trying to bait out something. We can only assume Echo, though, going in for the counter engage. This is a 1v3 situation. He's going to go for the stun. Manages not to get it because of a great flash from Ashe. Ashe is just trying to engage. There's the immediate point-blank ultimate from Echo. But Nocturne coming in big with the shadows. And will manage to pick himself a revenge kill. 1v3 doesn't go the best of times. But you've got to expect that, considering Hebo play coming down onto Riven. Vladimir in a sucky situation. It's gonna pop, but Riven's not gonna win slash. I don't understand. Vi, though, looking for some cheeky ganks. There's gonna be the stun Q. There's win slash. Not really going to do anything, but considering the fact is she had to disengage beforehand, it makes sense. And Vladimir is a pretty oppressive lane during the best of times. Vi, though, trying to do a little bit of counter jungling herself over at Gromp, is going to try to do something. Maybe she'll be able to actively deal with this, but probably not. Meanwhile, though, Nocturne putting ooh, this could be very bad. Vault Breaker coming in big. There's the knockup. There's going to be the pool. This could be a very dead Vladimir, and that's going to be the 6 ulti, but not a give over to Riven. That's not optimal, let's be honest. Vi's a very, very good champion, no matter, but that was a pretty open kill and a pretty open kill steal on the same wavelength. Given over. Meanwhile, here's Bran gonna go for the counter engage, gonna pop the stun. No stun, yes stun. That's gonna be just a massive stun lock coming in. Nocturne's dead. Re-engaged though by Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai not gonna manage to do it. That's gonna be the burn. 3% health, and that's why Bran's so good. The attempted fallback from the gate, basically, for Twisted Fate was unneeded, but was very, very nice psychologically, we'll just say. Bottom lane trying to actively do something. There's the ultimate big onto Bran. Bran, no ulti, gonna pillar flame, gonna miss everything. Meanwhile, Ashe just trying to stay afloat. No yellow cards, immediate flash by Twisted Fate. Yellow card coming out now. It's what it's gonna be. She's trying to kite back. Vi still trying to do something. Flash in immediately. Lulu staying in front to block the Vault Breaker. This is a lot of damage. Meanwhile, that's going to be the triple card. Doesn't quite manage to kill Ashe. Trying for a re-engage. There's Glitter Lance. Manages to miss. Those triple cards are something else. Manages to push back Ashe. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate wants it. There's the immediate flash. And there's the E by Echo. Manages to take out Ashe. Echo going in for a double kill. Wants it, wants it, wants it. That's going to be the shield evaporating. There's the stun. There's the Q. There's the E. And there's the death. Shut down, going to Echo. Meanwhile, top lane, Rek'Sai going for the knockup. Will be flashed out by Riven. Hemo play coming down. 12% extra damage is nothing to sneak at. That's going to be the ulti by Rek'Sai, and that's going to be a dead laner once more. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate still hasn't cleared out. Point blank ultimate from Nocturne will just make everyone sad. Echo still trying to kite his way back out. Will manage to pick himself up another one. Still has not died. 600 gold in the lead. How do you do this, man? Only a 400 gold lead in the lead for red team. Meanwhile, though, Vi is being proactive. Gonna be trying her best to take Mountain Drakes, which is supposedly the best Drake. Arguably, Infernal could make some arguments, and so could Water. You know, the sieging capability is not something to be snuffed at, but isn't as good as being able to rip apart a Baron in 2 seconds with Kai'Sa and Bane. Who knows? Nonetheless, it's going over to red side. Blue side really couldn't contest that. I don't think they wanted to, especially after the way that they played that entire fight in lower side river. Gonna have to make do. Looks like 17.7 over. How the hell did that happen? Did I just read that wrong? Right now, goal totals are pretty, or even, if not in a lead for blue side, which I would argue against, but maybe there was a shutdown in there. Maybe I'm just dyslexic. I have no idea. Meanwhile, though, it's going to be a Rod of Ages start for Twisted Fate. That's good in the sense that that's a very, very just basic general start for the champion, especially on a champion that is in dire need of some survivability, especially with the fact that this team composition doesn't really offer anything else. But who cares about that? Rek'Sai going in for an ultimate, immediate ulti by Echo in order to get out of a terrifically poor situation. That was honestly, as far as losing goes, that is losing with some level of smarts. The Rek'Sai camp in mid lane is honestly needed in this case. He's just kind of been around the rift, but is especially trying to make sure that this Nocturne doesn't get off the ground in a major way. Meanwhile, Vi going for the Vault Breaker, manages to miss it right quite by the side. There's going to be a long-range Ashe ultimate, going to stun over the Echo. Echo going to try to go for the shield, but he has no ultimate and will unfortunately fail. Hemoplague going down. Riven just trying to last the day. Doesn't quite manage. That's going to be Mr. Vladimir, kind of like playing with fire like Icarus, but he doesn't die, and yet they manage to get out just scot-free. It's a 3k gold lead now for blue side. Blue side, the actual KDA is even. However, in terms of gold totals, they are 3k ahead. Oh, almost 3k ahead. Rift Herald is not something to look down upon. There's going to be the knock-up onto TF. TF just kind of dueling very, very close range. They've switched their damage. Echo's going one way. I'm sorry, Nocturne's going one way, and everybody else is going the other way. Rek'Sai just decides to leave because Nocturne has no idea. He just wanted the turret, I can only assume. We're at a 2.5k gold lead. That was one of the more questionable engagements. You probably should have just taken the first turret with all the actual plates that brings on. But who knows? Echo engaging onto Ashe. Ashe trying her best to stay away. Pillar of Flame is really big. That's a big amount of damage. No stun, though, coming down because of a really, really good flash. He's going to immediately ulti out and will unfortunately be picked off by Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai 6-2. The problem is none of these kills are going over to Ashe, who has actively shown a really, really good ability to orb block her way out of a really tough situation. And this doesn't really mean much for anybody else, but as an AD carry, that is a really, really, really good skill to have. She's unfortunately, though, 0-1-7, and she's been in these fights, though, as evidence. There's only 10 kills on her side. She's been in 70% of them. And because of that, that's put off her Blade of the Ruined King, which means that she's able to do less damage, and also she's able to do less damage with those attack speed items. I think it's Rapid Fire Cannon start as it is with most AD carries, but it could be Static Shiv. Ooh, Vladimir taking a little bit of damage early game. That's going to be the Vault Breaker. No Assault and Battery yet. She's just trying to hold on to it. There's the Smite. He's just trying to get away. Riven just going really, really slow. Hemoplague coming down. Will he try to burst? Not quite. Just gonna get a little bit of health back from it. I question the fact that Hemoplague was used. However, the fact is, he's not really getting any help from Rek'Sai, and at this moment, Vladimir's only job is to make it so that Riven cannot join the rest of her team before the mid game. So there's that, I suppose. There's the stun coming out. There's the Qs. Not quite gonna die, but Vladimir trying his best to just stay afloat. And this is what you do as a Vladimir. This is what you do as a top laner when you're faced against these carry top lanes. And yes, Vladimir is by no means a carry top lane, but that does not actively matter because this is a massive pincer movement bottom lane. There's the immediate flash. There's going to be a Fear, Fried Twisted Fate. Excellent stopwatch coming out big. That's going to be an ultimate from Bran. Going to get a lot of, just a lot of stuff coming out. Vi with the counter engage on the Rek'Sai, going a little bit too deep. There's the Assault and Battery like we spoke before. Ashe needs to get out of this situation. Not going to be good. The flash, point blank, going to take her out. That's Lulu dead from Bran. And will that be Nocturne going away? He doesn't have his ultimate to actually try to do another bursting engagement. But top lane looks like this looks like she is going to be following in her footsteps. Rip it. There we go. That's the chance. Ooh, Vi, not just content to take 2 kills, is also gonna, or rather 1 kill and helping another one, is gonna be going for the Mountain Drake. Meanwhile, there's going to be the teleport from Riven, just trying to make it so that Vladimir isn't getting too far ahead. We haven't really been looking at CS totals. There's a reason why. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk. 50 CS gold lead in favor of Vladimir. However, they're only ahead by 1.2k gold lead. That used to be 2.2. Rather, it was mitigated because of the fact that red side took the blue side's mid tower. That being said, that is a massive amount of gold discrepancy that is just gone now. How do you lose that? Like, honestly, you have 2 mountains. That's very, very good. Take more objectives, guys. I don't know. I don't know what to think with you. The one thing that I will say is that this Ashe doesn't really seem to be using her E. The actual, I think, it's not quick shot. It's like recon shot or something like that. She's not using it very well. She's not using it to scout out for other stuff. Rek'Sai's pretty much been all on his own unless he's suiciding directly underneath tower in order to go for a really, really cheeky 2EF kill, which In all honesty, if blue side had disengaged, which they probably wouldn't have in the first place. Oh, this is an interesting engagement. Knock-up going immediately onto Riven. Vladimir has kind of secured it, but Nocturne coming in big from downtown! And that will pick up a Riven kill. This Nocturne utilizing these ultimates explicitly well. That's the thing. He hit 6, and suddenly his ability to interact with the map is so much greater than arguably some teleport mages, simply by the fact that you're stopping vision, and you're also immediately helping a 2v1 become a 3v1, honestly. And sometimes it's a 1v1 becoming a 2v1, and even then, that's still an exceptionally good situation, as is, well, obvious, if we're honest. Riven, though, also super behind. Like, she was behind, now she's super behind. But the bright side is that Vladimir's keeping her top, because regardless of how Riven is, Riven will always be in a proud situation, and in a situation that is very easy to recover from, because of the fact that she does so much base damage. Oh my god, this Vladimir is just dancing around this Vi. Vi currently down to about 3/4. Unfortunately, she's going to be getting some help pretty soon. But will that mean anything to this Vladimir? Vladimir has kind of been putting on a symposium against this Riven. But as said before, they've lost a lot of gold. Ooh, looks like Rek'Sai is going to go in for a cheeky gank, looking for something. Kind of played his hand a little bit too early. There's going to be the Proto Belt and E by Mr. Echo. That's a 45-second cooldown that, if he's not careful, doesn't really mean much for him. Okay, they're trying to deal with this Rek'Sai. Red card going out. That's going to be Arcane Comet. There's a reason why you don't pick it up. Oh, this is bad for Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai immediately burrows, gets Assault and Batteried almost just as immediately, and unfortunately falls. There's going to be the teleport into the bot lane. Does manage to get not stopped because Echo is here. No, Echo doesn't even have it. It's just a stop teleport by Riven. How that occurred, I question, considering the fact is that there's no knockups on Vladimir. Meanwhile, that's going to be the Glitter Lance and Shield combo from Lulu. That's going to be the stun attempted. Not going to actually work out, but that's a lot of base damage and a Brand ultimate that is indiscriminately bouncing. But Brand did get a little bit too close to the sun and had his wings burned off. We'll just call him Icarus Brand at this point. 13-13, though. 3k gold lead massively swung back in favor of blue side because they've been pressing the attack. They've taken both the bot lane first tier and the top lane first tier. Meanwhile, in terms of gold totals, they are absolutely wrecking their competition. You have 20 up in favor of Ashe, and you also have 60 up in favor of Vladimir. But in addition, Nocturne has gotten both 20, or rather only 10 up in CS, but has made his presence known throughout the entirety of the map. But then again, both mid laners have actually been effective in terms of KDA. I would argue, however, Nocturne's been more effective in helping his team get ahead. Not just in terms of kills, but also in terms of just map presence in general. Unfortunately, that doesn't link to Dragons, which are probably going to be the key event for this game. This game's already gone to 20 minutes. We don't know if it's actually going to go further than that. Probably will be, as we all know. The thing is, Baron's going to be a really big part of this game that is going to be one of the places where one of these teams throws. And the thing is, the way that you throw less at Baron is being able to do more damage to it. There's going to be the stun. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Meanwhile, the Gigantified, though, from Lulu absolutely saves this Ashe. She tries for the arrow, doesn't quite work. That's the ultimate from Rek'Sai, managing to knock up, just sticking on this Echo like nothing else, like he's just glue. Meanwhile, Vi looking for the Assault and Battery, gonna go for the Vault Breaker as well. Big damage and gonna shut down the Ashe, even though she was only up by 2 kills. Unfortunate for her, but what do you know? That's going to be Vlad still pressing the attack on this Riven, just really annoyed that she keeps on keying his car in top lane and just won't sit down and die. Pillar Flame going back up. That's going to be the attempted flash. Doesn't quite hit, but that's a big Brand ulti. Manages to knock out the Rek'Sai on the side and will manage to take out Lulu and Vlad alongside her. That's how Riven comes back into this game. She managed to not so much just get a baby shutdown on Vladimir, but also was in the fight, managed to get 2 assists, and I hope that was a flash. That was a flash on a Nocturne. That's gonna be a dead TF. Put your Fs in the chat for that, boy. This is gonna be a Baron attempt, though, because they see the fact that Nocturne is in bottom side. Unfortunately, it looks like Riven might die for this. Doesn't quite seem like it anymore. She's gonna be going for the Juicy Fruit. Will manage to take out the Baron. That's what 2 Mountain Drakes does for you. Meanwhile, Ashe going to be trying to hero moding it in top lane. Echo, though, doing the exact same thing to save a Scuttle Crab. Meanwhile, Bran, once again, trying his best to die, does it, and will give 450 gold over. It looks like they've taken this Baron, and it looks like they are, in turn, going to lose this Baron. Vladimir perfectly just encapsulating this Vi. Vi manages to flash over, trying to get some kind of kiting around. Looks like Echo gonna go for the secondary hero mode, gonna try to go for something. No stun, gonna have to ulti out immediately. Riven jumping into the middle of 4 champions like all Riven's what we know do, and just like her brother Yasuo, will manage to get called down by Ashe. Blade of the Ruin King's a big thing. That's Vi, she's big, she's gigantic, and she is dead as well. That is going to be a shutdown. Nobody has Baron anymore. That was a Baron that was taken and lost on the backs of a Bran that decided that he could still kill and fight an Ashe who is so good at orb walking, it is scary. Meanwhile, blue side going to be taking this 3rd Mountain Drake, which would have gone over to red side. Unfortunately, they decided to just stick around and throw a Baron. It's ancient dig tactics, as we all know and love, and they're not exactly working to their heart's content. It's Runon's Hurricane, though, as the 4th Sheen item. Forgot about Runon's Hurricane, haven't played Ashe in a long time, and you know what? It's not a bad item. I forgot about it because I don't play Ashe and Jinx. Stopped playing Jinx ever since the fact that everyone played a whole litany of early game champions like Lucian, and I think Xayah at one point could have been considered like it with the E root, with Q stun, or no, I'm sorry, E root with our ultimate to make it just so that you're able to do whatever the hell you want. Regardless of that, it's a 4K gold, it's a 3K gold lead in favor of blue side. They managed to recover from a Baron attempt, which was a Baron take, but was also a Baron suicide. Ashe getting into a very good position. She's going for her 2nd Sheen item. Possibly going to be Static Shiv, possibly going to be Dancer because of how it was upgraded in 9.4 to actually have some defensive components. And I think she does recognize that she is one of the few big carries in this game. Via going been big with a Vault Breaker. Going to be trying to duel this guy. Meanwhile, TF coming in. Will it be immediately hit by the arrow? It's very, very bad for everybody. She's going in big onto the Bran. Bran not able to do all of his damage. That's going to be the ultimate, but it's just a pittance with what they can do. Vlad still in bottom lane, doesn't have teleport, can't be in this fight. Meanwhile, that's going to be Echo still trying his best, and the double kill by Skarner. Great amounts of just damage and burst from that boy. Conquer is a scary keystone. 11, 5, and 6 for him. Managed to recover from a really bad fight to become something. That was a 4v5, guys. That was a 4v5. How do you do this? You play meta junglers, and you do well in the early game, and you CS well like a good boy and big girl and whatever. 23-20. Blue side still kind of trying to recover. Riven, though, with items and Death Stance and Hex Drinker, is just gonna die. Not gonna die, I'm so sorry. Vlad's gonna die. My apologies. Riven, with Death Stance, will dance around the Blood Mage and acquire his death. There we go. Good meme. 23-21. Unfortunately for Ashe, she did get dove. Unfortunately for Twisted Fate, he immediately jumped in, didn't even shoot his card off, and got arrowed. Took the arrow that was supposed to be for Vi, which is arguably not a good idea because she'd already assaulted and batteried at that point, which meant that CC doesn't affect her, so what are you looking for, right? Like, what's your main intent? How do you think this is going to go, but badly? CS totals, though. It's going to be a 60 gold lead for Vlad. Not quite Flame Horizon because Madam Riven has gotten back into this game, but he does need to play a lot better. His main goal is no longer containment of the Riven. His main goal is to drop a Hemo Plague in the middle of 3 champions and then wait for Ashe to just kill every single one of them. And you know what? That's not a bad place to be, considering the fact is that that is the simplest job to do, considering all of these fights have just been in the middle of the jungle, enclosed spaces. Skarner looks like he's inting right now. That's gonna be the TF gate. Gonna be the Ashe ulting. Nocturne coming in big on the back line. Ashe kind of being warded away by the Vi because of all of her gaze. but manages to get around and take her out. Meanwhile, Skarner gonna die. That's gonna be Ash just pressing the attack. Pillar Flame going out big. That's gonna be the flash by Twisted Fate. He doesn't have enough money, though. He doesn't have enough items, and he doesn't have enough time. Echo, though, trying his best. That's gonna be the Skarner knockup. Gonna be hero moding. But unfortunately, in bottom lane, it looks like Vladimir's kind of reached the point where he can't fight this lady anymore. That's gonna be the Zanya's proc. Gonna be trying his best to fight a little bit more, but it seems somewhat futile, if we're honest. That was a losing engagement no matter how you want to look at it. Hexdrinker certainly helps with the survivability of her, but she's gotten items, and the repeatable 6-second shield that she has is not something to scoff at. But I cannot emphasize enough, Skarner hero moded that team fight with the knockups, allowing Ash to do the damage that she needs to do. Because right now, Skarner does damage, but Skarner's primary point is not to do damage so much as it is knock up people so that they're able to be open and so that his team can just come in and absolutely wipe the floor with them. Nocturne is doing every single attempt at going into that back line and creating as much havoc as possible. It's great, it's effective, but at the moment, it is not giving him a lot of return because consistently this team is fighting 4v5. I don't know why Foxpaw, or Vladimir in this case, is not heading for his friends and utilizing teleport in the last fight, but he does have it up now. It is going to be a Baron fight. That's what they're looking for. Ash trying her best not to be in the middle of things. There's going to be the Crystal Ice Arrow going in onto Echo. Echo going to flash out. There's going to be the ultimate by Nocturne. Nocturne going in onto Brad. Brad dying. Echo dying, actually. Going to be going through his ultimate. They're all very, very low, however. Ash going to be going away. That's going to be a red card, though, by Mr. Twisted Fate. Not going to be good enough. She's just trying to kite around. That's going to be the knockup over the actual curtain. Will be very, very effective for him. Unfortunately, she's in an ugly place right now. No Crystal Ice Arrow. That's going to be the E. Not going to be the Q. That's going to be the triple card, though. Going to manage to affect some level of change. No teleport, though, by Mr. Vladimir, which meant that he had to walk up here, which just means that his friends all die now. It was a 4v5, and 4 of them died. That's going to be the Zanya's. He's going to die. He's going to die. There we go. That was unfortunate by blue side. That is the throw of throws, not hitting teleport in order to come into the fight when it was supposed to actively be something. I can already imagine that people were just mega flaming him right now. That fight could have been won by a Hemoplague. They were all completely strung up, and they were down a fighter because Echo was immediately blasted from just the fate of the universe right there. He had already utilized his ultimate. He was entirely destroyed by a great knockup by Rek'Sai, but unfortunately, he isn't able to really do anything. Bran going home, however, right now, Bran with the recall, means that this Ocean Drake could potentially just be free at the moment. Unfortunately, they're not taking it. I can only assume because they respect Ocean Drake's lives? I'm unsure. Right now, though, the gold totals have shifted in favor of Red Side. Red Side giving themselves a handy-dandy 1.3k gold lead. Gate from Mr. Twisted Fate going to be revealing everybody. He's going to be going in deep on an Ash fight. That's going to be the stun. Going in underneath turret. Doesn't really do much of anything. That's going to be no knock-up from Echo. Or rather from Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai, though, immediately being destroyed. And it's a Nocturne. Rather, Rek'Sai's in mid lane. Who could have thought that you could forget what that is? Ooh, Rek'Sai immediately getting understandably screwed over, but manages to pull it out from a burrow and his ultimate. Will manage to take out TF with the help of Mr. Lulu, but this is difficult. This is very difficult to figure out because Riven just comes in from a flank that manages to take out Lulu in response in addition to Rek'Sai. Echo, though, pushing the bottom lane. This is a massive amount of Baron. Like, Baron is just coming in like it's nobody else's business at the moment. 28 to 31. They're getting so much gold from this. That's going to be 2 inhibs down. Not a third, but something to respect. Ash can't handle all this damage. That's going to be an Echo, though. Echo gonna die. Meanwhile, though, Riven going to be coming in alongside Bran. When the Winged Hussars arrive, going in onto Nocturne. Will he try to ultimate out onto, say, Brand or something like that? There's going to be the Pillar of Flame. Great. That's not going to be the stun because of a great spell shield. But it looks like they're trying to follow them. They have Baron. They have 2 inhibs open. They think this is the only time they can actually strike. But red side is just on the immediate retreat. And why wouldn't you be, right? You've just taken 2 inhibs. You've just taken a ton of towers. But what are you going to do? Rek'Sai tries to go in for a knockup. Doesn't. They're trying to contest this Ocean Drake, which is not a terrible idea. It'll be 2 for 2 Drakes, meaning Elder can go either way. Someone has to go back in order to deal with the super. I question the validity of this plan, if we're honest. This isn't great. But things have managed to calm down. We're at 32 minutes on the clock, 31 to 29. 3k gold lead in favor of red side, managing to take out all of mid and bot side's defenses. I was singing high praise of Rek'Sai before because he was going in and knocking up people, but that same level of aggression is starting to really hurt blue side because he's not really going in with the rest of his team on central targets. And meanwhile, as much as Vi is a problem, I think that with the way that she's actively going up against Ashe doesn't really have to worry about her because she immediately procs Sterak's Gauge in the middle of everything. Doesn't do that much damage to be really respected. That's gonna be the blood pool by Vladimir. Will it amount to anything? No, not really. But the thing is, she's being veered off by a Vi, but she's not dealing any of the necessary damage that's gonna be a missed enchanted crystal ice arrow, which is really, really bad for blue side. The problem is, I was giving this champion, giving Ashe all of these accolades for being an incredible orb walker, but it's not going well. That's going to be the knockup, though, on Twisted Fate. Rek'Sai doing a lot of damage, trying to burn somebody immediately over from downtown. That's going to be Ashe trying to do her best. Not going to be the Flash Redemption coming out, though, by Lulu, trying to actively do something. That's going to be the actual air slash coming out. Big assault and battery onto Rek'Sai, trying to get something out. Gigantify, though, coming out, and the Flash. There's going to be no over-the-wall shenanigans, no Hemoplague. That's going to be the Zhonya's, though, coming out by Mr. Vladimir. Hemoplague coming out a bit late. Meanwhile, Ashe on the side trying to do all the damage that she can. Rek'Sai coming out with the knockup. Will manage to take out some targets. Vi, though, still up, as is Riven. No, not going to be able to deal with it because Nocturne was back at base having to deal with supers. That's unfortunate. That was a loss of 3 for a loss of 2. They managed to take out Echo and Twisted Fate, so both of the AP sources of damage were gone, but they couldn't deal with the main source of damage that is Riven, because she has transformed into something ridiculous. Alongside Echo, Echo needs to die. Don't get me wrong, Echo does need to die, but Riven at the moment is just dancing around them. But moreover than that, it's Big Vi. Oh, Enchanted Crystal Ice Arrow is going to be big, but that's going to be the Zhonya's. Is she going to immediately switch targets? She does it. She does because of the thankfulness of Runons, but only manages to get cut and culled down by Riven. What I was going to say before is that Bran is a massive target with massive AoE capabilities, and the thing is he's able to put them all out immediately once he just enters into the fight and just says, y'all are going to die right now. But here we go with the knockup onto Riven. Riven not going to really care about this. It seems that's a big amount of damage, though, coming in from Rek'Sai. I changed my mind. She is indeed going to be carrying. Gigantify coming in big. And will that be a dead Vi? That's going to be a knocked up Vi, which means that the actual Vault Breaker is not going to come in through, and that's going to be a shutdown. Well done by Lulu and Rek'Sai. Who would have thought that just unparalleled aggression will just win the day? Who could have thought, right? They're going to be going for Baron on this. Whether or not this is a good idea, it's not. But the simple fact is they should just probably ward it out because Echo's still in the area. He's not dead. They have eyes on Vladimir, so he's not going to be able to join the fight because he doesn't know how to use his teleport button, I assume. And now really can't use it. Spear of Shojin coming up for Riven. You've all heard the horror stories of Jax using it. Now, here's for part 2. The Crystal Ice Arrow going in big from Riven. That's going to be Nocturne's Paranoia being dropped. Not quite going to be doing anything. They're going to be burning down this thing. There's going to be the big teleport from Vladimir. He's going to be going in, get stunned immediately by Echo. That's going to be a big amount of damage from the Bran. Bran, though, not going to die. There, it's going to be the Riven. Red team stealing Baron with Bran's ultimate. Oh my goodness. Though, Rek'Sai still just trying to frontline, manages to give it over to Ashe. Ashe managing to take down the Twisted Fate, but it's not going to be good enough. They're already down. Lulu following Rek'Sai, and that's just gonna be GG's at this point. It's 5 down, and all of red team is up with the exception of Twisted Fate. The absolute lack of target acquisition and priority on the side of blue team has just led them to this death now. They were ahead at some point. Excellent objective, or excellent, all right objective control at the very beginning of the game kind of allowed them some level of variability. But unfortunately, when you don't fight with the rest of your team on Vladimir with teleport, and when you don't consistently help the rest of your team during these heavy team fight engagements, what are you gonna do except just kind of fail? Oh well then. It was a good game though. An excellent job to Red Side. An excellent job, honestly, to Riven for kind of like holding out and making it so that she knew what she was supposed to be doing. But more than that, excellent job to the entirety of the actual team, and I wish them the best of luck. Enjoy yourselves, guys.